that's more of a matter of preference. There's some formatting things that you can play with in your IDEs. Typically, that'll help you format your code, whatever is suited for your preference. I haven't played around with that too much. There's a lot of extensions that you can get within things like Visual Studio Code or Eclipse or Notepad++, all the various IDEs out there. But essentially you could open up a Notepad file and start typing this out. It's just whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so jumping back to here, I'm actually going to integer of main, and then we'll put in our, now there are things that are in Notepad++ which will automatically input this information in for you, or basically autofill your include standard io.h, your integer main, and then your braces there, and you would just type whatever program, whatever it is. So I don't have that set up. I used to have it set up. I don't remember how I did it last time, and then I have it set up on another PC that I have Notepad++ on, but I don't remember, or I haven't gone through the process to set it up on this PC, which is fine. It's actually probably better for me to get in the habit of doing it myself. That way I can get in the habit of reading the code, get in the habit of knowing the format of it, and just going back and just double checking to make sure that my formatting is proper. Because a lot of the times I'll end up writing a string of code, and then I'll forget to put the semicolon at the end, or forget to put in the appropriate parentheses. Okay, so now that I have this integer main file, I'm ready to start writing my code. Now you'll notice that the 2 forward slashes here change this to green. So basically what this is anytime you add 2 forward slashes, it is going to change whatever text in here to basically a comment. So if I wanted to, I could literally take any code that I'm writing, and this is a useful way of debugging, but I literally turn everything that I've written into code. So let's say that I've written something that isn't quite working the way I want to, and I need to take it out. Like anything that I've written above or below it is working just fine, but the code that I've written here isn't working. I can just turn it into a comment and then come back later, tinker around with it, remove this, and just set it back to a single line comment like this. And then you'll notice that the code has come back here. So the 2 forward slashes is a single line comment, and the forward slash with an asterisk, and then the asterisk with a forward slash at the end basically encapsulates any text within and makes it a comment. And that's for multi-line comments. Now in this, you'll notice that contrary to what I was doing within the Programmy's online compiler, where I was entering in the line breaks and then just adding quotation marks around each line, I've basically just done individual print statements here. There's probably doing it the other way. I was doing it in the online compiler might be a cleaner way of doing it, or maybe a less resource intensive way of doing what I'm doing here. That I'm not entirely sure about, but for me, just looking at this looks a little cleaner to my eyes. Now you can certainly change it to whatever your preference is. I'm no expert by any means, but like I said, I'm just recording this to get my thoughts out there. So if anybody sees this and is listening to me, feel free to comment below and let me know whether or not doing it this way or doing it how I was previously is going to be more resource intensive. Now, granted, what I'm doing is very simple, but as I continue learning, maybe I'll figure it out on my own. We'll see. But if anybody happens to know offhand, I would appreciate the comment. Now, so what I've done here is I'm printing a statement that says you found the magic 8 ball of Teller Coke. So I'm just using a little sense of humor just to kind of create this little story that I'm trying to tell here, which is you find a magic 8 ball, you want to ask a question, whether or not this person, used cannabis. I'll put it that way. So you shake it, and you're going to be entering in a value of either 1 to 10, and then depending upon how I code this out, I'm either going to have, if it's going to be an even number, I want it to be true. If it's going to be an odd number of shakes, just to keep this simple, it's going to be false to basically answer that question. And then depending upon what the person types in there, it's actually going to print out a line of text I'll write another thing that'll print out a line of text to say something. But for now, I'm just gonna. This is just a test of a ternary, which is just a simple if-else statement using a boolean, and then I'm gonna add. It's either gonna be this boolean, which is a true/false. So it's either gonna be 1 for true, 0 for false, or if it's neither one of those things, like if let's say they enter in a number less than 1 or greater than 10, it's gonna return another line of text that says, hey, that's out of bounds, more or less. So that's the idea. Okay, so now you'll notice here I am asking the user or the person to enter a number of shakes of the magic 8 ball here. So they're going to be putting in a numerical value here of either a 1 or a 10. And I left the space here intentional because this is where I want them to type in the number. And then the way this works is we're going to do something called a scanf, and then put in our percentage sign, and then so essentially what we have here are an integer is called an operator, or there's integers and there's operators. So the integers are basically your numbers. There's something called char for characters, and then you have your operators, which is like plus, minus, the ampersand symbol for an and statement, 2 pipe characters, which is if you hold down the shift and the backslash, that key, the vertical line, is called a pipe character. So 2 pipe characters mean or. Again, you can go through these videos here, and she does a much better job of explaining these concepts than I am. This is more for my own personal benefit, just to, like I said, get my thoughts out there, or for anybody that's listening to kind of understand where I'm at with my code and what I'm thinking. But again, if you have no background in coding whatsoever, it may be helpful for you to see a complete novice go through this and kind of explain the concepts, at least to the best of my abilities, and then maybe it motivates you to follow along. So who knows? Okay, so we have this scanf, which basically this percentage D is like a delimiter for an integer value. If it gets changed to like a F instead of a D, that means it's called a float, which is basically, instead of an integer, it's going to have a number with a decimal point, which will carry to, I believe, like decimal places. And then there's the double, which I think floats are carried to 2 decimal places, floats carry to 4 decimal places, and then you have float. You can watch the videos on it. It'll explain what it means, but basically floats are with an F, and then doubles are with an LF, so on and so forth. Now, just because we're using simple numbers 1 through 10, I don't need to make this a float or a double, and you can see how that text changes colors. I just need to make it an integer, and then I'm going to, so the D in the quotation marks with the percentage sign there, or rather the division sign there, or the shift number 5 key on my keyboard, is just going to be there to denote an integer value that it's going to be scanning for, and then to the right of it, it's going to look for the ampersand, and this is going to be basically a classifier for what it's looking for. And the classifier is going to be, or an attribute, and it's going to be looking for this integer called shake that I have written up here. And then once you've done that, you put the semicolon at the end to basically finish your line of code that you've written there. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to type the word bool for boolean, and then I'm going to type the word result, because the result of this code here is going to be essentially a statement that I want. If what's in the statement is correct or true, I want it to print this 1, and if it's false, it's going to print a 0. So what I want to do is I want to do a check. Simple equals, the result is basically, it's equal to I believe this is the correct way to write this, which is 2 minus 2 is 2. Okay, so, and this is something that I'm actually kind of curious about myself. So this percentage sign here is basically like a remainder. And if we set it equal to 0, or remainder for, I guess that's divisible by 2, there should be no remainder. So if we divide something by 2, okay, I think I just figured out. So if we're dividing by 2, we will have a remainder of 0. And I believe if we start adding values to this, for example, if I were dividing by 6, if I were looking for remainders, I would put the actual number of remainders that I would be looking for, as far as like the number of additional numbers at the end. Like, let's say there's a string of continuing 3s or continuing 6s for a division that you're doing. I think you can qualify how many remainder digits are at the end that you could be looking for. Again, I'm fairly new to this concept, so I think that's how it works, but again, I'm sure we'll be figuring this out as we go along and learn more, and I will probably find out later on that I am a complete idiot and did not understand the concept at all. But for now, I'm pretty confident that I can get this code to work, because I did.